You started the channel about 5 years ago, I think.
Yep.
Has it been 5?
It's been 5 years. December 16th.
Oh boy.
Oh,
that's my birthday. Wow. Well,
hey,
thank you guys for starting
happy
it on
birthday.
my birthday. Thank you so much. So how has it felt, like 5 years, 113,000 subs, a massive community? Like, what does that feel like to you guys?
You know, it's funny. It's been 5 years, but we've only really been like full time, like making this a large priority in our lives for the past, I want to say like the past like 2 years, like 1.5 maybe.
Yeah, since lockdown started in the city.
Oh yeah.
Because
you guys are in New York, right?
Yeah, we're in New York City.
Wow.
And so when things shut down mid-March of 2020, I took a class in January, an online class, like a business class, like how to, because like the goal the whole time, this is my business moves. The whole time was to like how to make this the thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't take any business courses in class in school. Like it's just comedy, haha. But you learn the business part afterwards. So we were slow on the business uptake. But I took a how-to YouTube business course.
Wow.
And then like, oh, okay, these are the steps. And like, okay, oh wait, we should just change this over here and do that over there. Great. Pandemic. Oh, look at all the time we now have to institute all these things I just learned.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say we got lucky that there was a pandemic that forced us inside, that gave us all
someone
the time
had to
in
say
the world.
Thank God for the pandemic, is what you guys are saying.
You heard it here first. But we used the time wisely, and since we didn't have a whole lot of stuff going on at the time, because trailers, like we were only doing trailers because we thought trailers were the thing.
We thought that was the thing.
We were honestly scared to do TV shows because it was so much work, and we both had jobs that we were doing.
We just didn't even consider it.
It wasn't even, we knew other people were doing it, but we just like didn't even think about doing it.
And having all the trailers dry up and things like that kind of forced us to kind of take a look at how we made things, what we wanted to do. And then we started doing full episode reacts and then realized, oh, we're actually better at this than we were at trailers. Oh, okay.
Trailers are hard because everything just comes at you like bam, 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 bam. Like it's hard to really focus on one thing.
And it's a little bit more, it is even more zeitgeisty than doing a show. Whereas like people can go back and watch a show and be like, oh, I would want to watch some reactions. But the trailer, like once the movie's out, people aren't really going back to that content. So it allowed us to make it a little bit more evergreen as far as like the channel goes.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And then just people started growing from there. Like as soon as we started, like I honestly, it was Mandalorian, I think season 2, where we finally figured out how to do episodic reactions.
Sure.
And then we got really lucky that all the major cool things happened in season 2 of Mandalorian. And it was like, God. Oh crap, I gotta watch this. And then we started crying. So like it totally worked out.
Mandalorian 2 is season 2 is a goldmine of reactions and content. So thank you, Disney and Marvel.
For real.
For real. I'm going to go back just a little bit. I know you've addressed this before, but for anyone watching who doesn't know, how did you guys meet? Like when did this, happen, this moment?
See, last time we got asked this question, you answered it.
Oh,
so
would you like to?
I'm going to answer this time.
Okay, go for it.
Is that okay?
Sure, go for it.
All right?
Just make sure you tell the truth.
I am Johnny. I am a firm. I subscribe to the age-old quote from Phineas Taylor Barnum: "Never let the truth get in the way of a good story."
Sure.
So we met doing stand-up comedy in New York. We just met through a comedian friend of ours, and so we knew each other kind of casually. But then our mutual friend, wanted to start a podcast and asked Adam and I to be involved with that. And we spent, I want to say, a couple years, 2 years working on that. And then we realized that as we were trying to promote the show, Adam was like, he's the mastermind. He is the cake and I am the frosting. I don't know if you figured that out.
Yeah, it's much like a NFL booth. You have the play guy and the color commentary. You guys are kind of both though.
That's true.
We switch off depending on the content.
It depends.
It really depends.
Yeah. But we Adam realized like, oh, there are people that are watching trailers online because our podcast was kind of a podcast version of reaction content. We have comedians on and we watch the most recent movie trailers and then just, you know, riff and tell jokes and yada, yada, yada. But then we realized that there's like all this YouTube stuff. Hey, we can make some YouTube videos to promote the podcast because it's kind of a similar, it might be similar people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Adam and I realized that we really liked doing the videos more than the podcast. And the podcast, we just kind of went our separate ways. It just wasn't what we wanted to do.
Yeah. The energy behind it fizzled.
And we're like,
some things do.
Oh, but we're still gonna make the YouTube videos because, you know, Black Panther, it has a trailer this week and we're planning on doing. They're like, yeah, it's fine. Like, go ahead. And then that was for me, the Black Panther trailer was the one where I was like, oh, we're like, okay,
people like this stuff.
Yeah,
we can keep doing this.
Yeah. And it's been interesting because we promote ourselves as like internet best friends, but we're still like
enemies.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we're still getting to know each other on like, we're still very good friends, but like, it's fun. It's been fun getting to know you through this.
Well, we've only known each other for
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like people think either one, we are dating.
Yeah.
Two, we've known each other for an extremely long time.
No.
And the answer to both those questions is no. We've only known each other for 7 years.
And I would never.
The answer is not yet. Not yet. Wow, that's incredible. Only 7 years. You guys have such great chemistry. Is that something you felt instantly, or is this kind of like a Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours kind of thing where you guys really honed it over time?
1,000 hours.
Yep.
Well, when we were introduced by our mutual friend, he said, you guys will either be best friends or enemies. And he goes, Adam, Jay likes The Dark Knight Returns. Or The Dark Knight. And I go, I like The Dark Knight. And it was off to the races.
Well, because it was weird that he didn't like The Dark Knight.
He didn't like The Dark Knight.
That's he
doesn't like
that
it.
should have been a sign.
Mm-hmm.
That's strange. Who doesn't like The Dark Knight?
Thank you. Thank you.
Were you guys, you know, before you did this, did you, because I'm like this, you kind of like talk during movies and TV shows when watching with friends, like not in a theater, but like with friends, like kind of doing bits, making jokes, or is that something you just kind of save for camera?
Oh, no, I was raised by someone who did that.
Okay.
My dad would either call out what was about to happen, make a guess about, what's going to happen in the future, or not so much like a comment about a joke about it, but like a reaction to the thing that just happened in a funny way.
Yeah.
But honestly, like it's Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is what.
And I grew up on that too. I was actually living in Minneapolis when it was on public access. And so I've been obsessed with that show forever. But yeah, I talk during movies all the time. One of my best friends in the entire world that I've known since college is a no talking at the movie people, and it almost ruined our friendship because like I would be making goofs and stuff and he'd be like, you have got to knock it off. And I was like,
oh wow, yeah.
Did I not just make this movie better? I think I made this movie better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are some movies where it's a bad movie that you need to make it fun for yourself to talk during it. But like it was always like whisper, whisper, whisper.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, that guy's so totally dead. Like,
yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah, but not super out loud, unless the movie called for it, like Cats, small side tangent. Sorry. Cats was the last movie Jay and I saw in theaters before the pandemic.
I keep forgetting
that on my birthday.
No.
Yeah, because it's like, hey, you know what? Let's go have a fun. Because at that point, it's been out 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and everyone was like, this is a bad movie. This is really bad. You got to go see it. It's so bad. So we figured it was going to be a movie that would have people like laughing at it and not with it. And boy, oh boy, did it. It was great. It was one of the best movie going experiences I've ever had. The movie's horrible. It's long and it's super boring.
Yes.
But we got very lucky. And the New Year's Day crowd was game to rip it apart. Because like as soon as, after the first song, when everything's like, this can't actually be the movie, right?
Oh yeah.
Right.
No, it was everyone was quiet and trying to be respectful. until the one of the cats looks into the camera and goes, "Let's go meet Bustopher Jones." And some girl in the crowd just goes, "No." And then everyone lost it.
Amazing.
It was the best.
You have AMC's in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys been to the theater recently? Are you aware of the Nicole Kidman phenomenon that precedes every movie?
I have A-list. We both have A-list.
Yeah.
We love A-list. When things,
if they'd like to sponsor us, hey, A-list, we love your product.
If things, when things slowly go back together, we'll be using it more often. I love Nicole Kidman, and I absolutely fundamentally, at the core of my soul, hate when Nicole Kidman shows up before an AMC movie. It is the worst thing. We're already here. We're here.
Do you not agree that heartbreak feels good in a place like this? Do you not agree?
Man,
you don't go to the theater in gowns and stilettos?
You're lucky I'm wearing pants, Nicole Kidman. You're lucky I'm wearing pants.
Okay, so you guys both started in comedy. Adam, I know a little bit more about you because you have a website, which I don't know when the last time you updated it is.
Oh God, I keep forgetting I have it.
You do. It's like when someone's like, "Hey, I found your MySpace." You're like, "Oh God." So I know that you did some work. You had a weekly show that you did at Virginia Tech, right? That was kind of based on The Daily Show.
Yes.
Is that kind of where you started to hone your on-camera craft a little bit? Because I know then you moved to the actual Daily Show afterwards, which is pretty cool.
So I went to Virginia Tech because I grew up in Nova in Northern Virginia, which is right outside Washington, D.C. And I went to Virginia Tech thinking that I was going to be an engineer.
Sure.
Quickly realized I did not have an engineer's brain.
Oh.
I needed to abort the mission post haste.
All right.
So I scrambled and found myself getting a communications minor and working at the student-run TV station because I learned as much there working on student-run television programming on the student channel that communications majors did.
Yeah.
Without all the classwork. But when I was there, one of the upperclassmen, one of the seniors, had an idea for this weekly show, and he's like, "Adam, I want you to be the host of it." And I was like, "What are you talking about? I've only been here a couple semesters. I'm running the cameras and learning how to edit on a analog with the wheels, like mark in, mark out." Yeah, like it was. The computer editing was just starting on Macs.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's like, "No, I want you to be the host." Like, I've never really been on camera before. He's like, "Yeah, you're fine. You got it." And so I started being on camera, and thank God I was a little bit of a natural at it. And then for the next couple of years,
debatable. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I've been at this over 20 years.
I like a snarky John.
You said on your 100K stream you didn't have a beef with anyone. Let's just start it right now. I'm kidding. I don't
Yes.
Well, we have a beef with Omni just because it's funny.
Oh,
Omni One Media?
Yes, Omni claimed our first beef.
He's like, I'll be in a beef. We're like, you're in a beef now.
Omni Media.
Oh,
he's a great dude.
So you were at the Daily Show, and you said there was a blurb that you had on your website where you said John actually said something to you or you said something that made him laugh. What was that?
Okay, so
very curious.
So in at the Daily Show, Jesus, oh my God, 17? No. Oh my God, it's been almost 20 years. Okay, so in 2003, there had a bunch of interns, and so interns rotated throughout the production of helping out different departments. And I usually helped out the audience department a lot, which was basically calling everyone. Leave a message like, "I'm going to be in the city on X date. I would like a ticket to the show." I'd have to call them back and be like, "Hey, well, how many tickets do you want?" Blah 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 blah. Well, that's grunt work for like 6-7 hours of the day. But as a reward for sitting on the phone all day, I got to be in the studio when they shot and help load in the audience and take them out.
Oh, fun.
So it was fun. So I get to be on the floor while things are going on. And sometimes if there was an empty seat, because sometimes that happened, I get to sit in the audience while the show's being taped. As probably everyone knows nowadays, that before the show starts, the host usually takes questions from the audience to kind of help, to after the warm-up comic to kind of just, warm
grease
up the
wheels.
stuff. Exactly.
I get it.
Somebody asked John, how do you become an intern at the Daily Show? And Jon Stewart doesn't know that. That's well below his pay grade. So he's just
Yeah.
like, I don't know. He just asked generally, is there an intern here? And I just raised my hand because my director's like, hey, go ahead. I'm like, oh, over here. And he's like, what's it like being an intern at the show? And then I just, without missing a beat, I said, you kind of get used to the beatings. And then John just started laughing.
Wow.
The whole audience started laughing.
That's
I was
massive.
like, well, I think I figured out what I'm supposed to do with my life because this just feels far too good.
That's amazing. I actually coincidentally just bought this. It was like $3 at a bookstore.
Oh wow!
So I really hope that story's in there. And if it's not, I'm gonna burn this book.
Yeah, mill in the ashes. You know what he did.
And then Jay, so tell me a little bit about your comedy background.
Oh well, I actually plan to be a performer.
Sure.
I went to it wasn't just like hoisted upon me. No, I actually went to I got a BFA in musical theater for college, and I moved to New York to be an actor, specifically like in musicals and things like that. I did some regional work and got my equity card and have worked a little bit here and there, and then I kind of just started doing stand-up as something that's sometimes when you move to New York as an actor, you don't really have a lot of control over your life to a degree. You're kind of just waiting for people to say, hey, you're good, I'd like to have you in a thing. And you just continue showing up for auditions. And stand-up was something I had like kind of dabbled in college, but never a lot. And then, but stand-up became the thing that I had control over. Mm-hmm. And I could do. And I mean, it's, if anything, the Preview'd taking off and kind of, being our full-time jobs has been awesome. But like the one thing I do miss is that like we just don't really have a lot of time for stand-up anymore.
Sure.
I mean, we have an incredible outlet to be funny. So it's not, it's not boo-hoo-hoo. It's really not that bad. But
you miss the stage.
I do. I really do. I think I miss it more than you do, I would say.
You do. Jay has mentioned a few times, like, oh yeah, when things get back to normal, like, live crowds and stuff like that, like, I kind of want to get back out there and do some work. We should do stand-up. I was like, we could do a show, we could put butts in seats. And every time he says it, I just feel utter dread.
Like your butthole tighten up?
Oh, everything gets heavier because Jay and I are two different types of comedians. Jay writes on stage. Yeah. He's the improv guy. He can just go.
Yeah.
I am somebody who needs to meticulously write everything and workshop it and test it and try it over and over and over again before I get it. And then that's the joke with small variances every now and then.
Whereas I don't always remember my set.
Yes.
From the night before. I'm like, what did I talk about? I don't remember.
I'm with you. I'm actually, one of the reasons I like you guys so much is because I can relate. Just to put it on me for just 3 seconds, I did stand up in college and then a little bit out here when I moved out to LA. I'm originally from Ohio and I've been in LA for like a decade now, which is crazy. And the first, I took a stand up class here when I first moved because I know what else to do. And it was taught by Leslie Jones right before she got SNL, like 2 years before she got SNL. And our final exam was to perform at the Comedy Store in the main room and in front of a packed house. And they're like, hey guys, there's a stand-up class that is performing tonight. I don't know who they bribed to come and be in the audience, but it actually ended up being great. I did a good set. I have the footage somewhere. I think there's another Johnny Odell channel that I think I've locked away that has old stand-up performances.
Oh, that's great, man.
But yeah, that was crazy. So, and I was an intern for Conan for 4 months. So,
hey, that's awesome.
So I can relate to the Daily Show thing. Yes, I was not paid, which is in hindsight insane.
Yeah, neither was I.
Actually makes a lot of sense because it's funny now that you've kind of started doing the intros for your shows, your episodes.
Yeah.
The whole time, like when we first saw you and you were doing it, I was like, why hasn't he always been on screen like this? I like this guy. He's very enigmatic.
Yeah. It's hard. Thank you so much for saying that. That's really kind. I'm still trying to find it. When I was at Walking Dead, I did a weekly podcast called Talk Dead to Me. And I would just interview the cast of the show and I would do on camera stuff. So, but that was like a year ago. So it's hard to kind of, get it back. It's like a muscle. You guys know.
I mean, you're very enigmatic, man. I'm just
thanks,
saying,
buddy.
Like,
I appreciate
I'm excited for what's coming for you.
I don't know what's coming, but hopefully it's got to be more original, I guess. So to get monetized, because I really don't want a regular job again. Yeah, but speaking of, I know that Jay, you quit your job this year, didn't you, to do this full time? What led you to do that?
Well, I mean, the thing is that like I was very fortunate to have like a great B job in New York. I worked at the same restaurant for 10 years, which in the restaurant industry is, that's the holy grail right there. They were nothing but supportive of everything I've done up until this point. Like it was a huge blessing, but it just got to a point where, it was just not scary enough to quit. Because the thing is that it got to a certain point where I was like, we're making a little bit of money. We can afford to kind of pay ourselves from this. Like it won't be the same amount, but we can make it work. And finally, my wife Kimberly just goes like, if it's scary, that means that's the right move. Like she's like, I know you're afraid, but like you have done your due diligence with this. She was like, I am your wife. And I am like, you need to.
You're
quit
like,
your
what?
job.
When did we get married?
Yeah. She was like,
what is this ring
like,
on my
I'm the person that if we were writing this as a movie, I am the person that would be telling you not to quit your job, but I am saying quit your job because you're going to be easier to live with and we're going to be fine.
Yes. And what about you, Adam? Did you have sort of a normie job beforehand, or have you been doing this full time for a while?
Well, my full-time job was to make sure that Jay quit his job to make sure that this was a full-time job.
Yes.
Once we figured out that YouTube could be a thing, and that was like we're in the second year. We still didn't know what we were doing. I think we hit like 13. No, we had 3,000 subs the first year we did this.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the year after that, did we hit 10? I think we only hit 10,000 subscribers. It took us about 2 years to hit.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this could be a thing. I think this is a thing. I know people find success on this platform, which is new to me because like I'm in my 40s, man. Like I was told, hey,
you are?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. It's spooky.
How is that possible?
I stay inside and edit all day. What is this?
Wow.
I don't know. But the way to success when I started doing stand-up was, just do stand-up and, eventually you'll get small parts on things. You'll start headlining at clubs and then you get like a sitcom or just, start working in movies. That's just how things happened.
Yeah.
And then MySpace hit. And then Dane Cook happened.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, hey, what's your online presence? What's your digital footprint? How many followers do you have? And I'm like, only a couple years into stand-up, like, I don't even have a laptop yet. I don't even know, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So it went from, hey, do stand-up to, no, make stuff on the internet. And so I didn't know how to do that because I went to school to figure out how to do television and then started thinking stand-up was the way. And I love stand-up, but like it truly still is. Even now, I think like, hey, because we have friends that are just like cranking stuff out on Instagram and TikTok, like they're stand-up bits. Because it's just like, hey, have you made content? What content have you made? I was like, oh man. Oh. So eventually I started trying to make content. And then we fell into the podcast and fell into this. And I was like, hey, this seems to be what's working. This it is. Yeah. I just started cranking it out and like trying to learn everything I could possibly figure out how to, the algorithm and all the production stuff that we do. That was all learned after the game. Like I just watched YouTube videos and like scraped together some extra money to buy stuff.
It's insane when you can learn just watching YouTube videos. It's insane.
Yes. Yeah, you can learn open heart surgery.
Which is a good segue. Because you didn't, but you know, but my side job was that I actually worked at NYU School of Medicine as a fake patient.
What?
Yeah, to like help med students like learn how to interact with patients and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Like
so
a
they
Kramer
operated
does?
on you.
Like a Kramer. Yeah, no, there was some like we didn't do like full on fake surgery or anything like that, but like actual like physicals and physical therapy and all sorts of and ultrasounds. Like I learned a whole bunch about my body from med students just poking and prodding me. I was there for like 7 years.
That's
I was
crazy.
there a long time,
Yeah.
and then we couldn't go to the hospital anymore because reasons, important reasons. And then thankfully I was able to not go back.
I'm curious, process wise, are you guys, whose house or apartment are you at right now? Like, where is this? Okay, so this is all Adam.
I live in the abandoned theater.
Yeah.
Yes, this is a theater. You guys are in a theater.
We're in a theater, damn it! It's real to me. Damn it.
What is the process like? Like, say, I remember you guys were pretty early on this new Spider-Man No Way Home trailer that came out. Like, if a Spider-Man trailer drops or whatever, Doctor Strange, whatever it is, like, do you guys live near each other? Are you able to just
I'm
like,
6
sprint
blocks
over?
from him.
6 blocks. Wow, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
That's another reason why the channel has been able to be around for so long, because we actually live close to each other.
It's actually relatively easy for us to get together.
Because like if he did live like subway stops away, that calculus of like, hey, a thing dropped.
I still would have come up for Spider-Man regardless.
But some of the other things,
some of the other stuff, no.
I'll get it tomorrow.
Do you both do editing, or is it just one of you?
This guy.
Just Adam. Wow.
Yes,
so he
it is
really
just
okay.
me, but
Gotcha.
it is slowly changing.
Okay.
Jay is starting to edit some
Wow.
of our newer stuff.
Yeah, we're working on some new projects that I'm going to be in charge of like the post on, and I'm getting there. And we've also had to, with everything coming out this summer, we've also had to hire another editor to just crank some stuff out because so much is dropping at once.
I'm trying to remember what, I think it might have been the Kenobi trailer where it like drops the date. And I think it was you, Adam, who's like, we're so boned. We are boned.
Yeah,
it's the same time as Stranger Things, and Moon Knight will have just wrapped, and there's going to be Doctor Strange stuff out there. And,
it is, we dubbed it Midsummarmageddon.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many shows coming out between the end of May and the beginning of July. Like,
yes.
June is straight effed. Like, because it's Kenobi the first 2 episodes, all 5 episodes of Stranger Things. The Boys drops the first 3 episodes of its new season the next Friday.
Okay.
I hate when they do that so much.
Then Miss Marvel starts it 2 weeks, like 10 days after Kenobi. Like,
I'm getting stressed.
And then Umbrella Academy, I believe mid-June, I think, or is that the end or beginning of July? Like, there's so much happening that I almost died, was it mid-January?
Yeah.
Between finishing Witcher, doing Cobra Kai, Peacemaker, and then when Vox Machina came out, like it was a ton of stuff. Yes. And I was like, I can't do this again. I need help. It's just too much. It's just too much. Because these things, as you know, like editing these things, like it's not a simple edit. Like trailers are easy. It's like bing, bang, boom, let it render, a couple cuts here and there, not a big deal. But like the episodic reactions, like that takes, how long does it take you to edit all the stuff? I've always wanted to know this. How long does it take you to edit something?
It really depends. I mean, usually like between 2 and 4 days, sometimes longer. I'm doing a Shang-Chi react right now, but it's because a lot of people, I don't want to say any names, Blind Wave, that they upload a full hour, and it's so much granted, like 20 minutes in, they're done with the reaction. They're just talking for a while. And I've been trying to play around a little bit more with the format, like you guys saw, where you guys were doing a bit where you're like Greg, and then I cut to Greg from Real Rejects, and he was laughing.
He hasn't stopped talking about it.
Oh, I know. And here's the thing. When you mentioned that you have done stand up, that everything makes sense now, because from the beginning, it's kind of clear that we are usually like the buttons of a lot of little segments of like people reaction to one of our stupid jokes. Like, wait a second, this guy's using us correctly. Like, he's using us to button these things.
Mm-hmm.
He must,
Thank you. Yeah, I think
he's got some chops. I think he knows something. And now it makes sense because you did stand up.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to lean into. I wish I could do more of it. Sometimes by the end, when I'm finished with a video, I'm done. Like it's hard to like go back and try to add more bits and stuff. But I've been trying to kind of push myself a little bit more to do that. But yeah, for the Mandalorian season 2 finale, I used my bumper. I always like doing the sort of after credits bumper.
Mhm.
I used all of Jay's Book of Boba Fett song that he made up on the spot, which was phenomenal. And I was really bummed that they didn't use it as the theme song for Book of Boba Fett. He's like, Boba Fett and a friends. I can't remember all of it. I should have memorized it beforehand. I'm now regretting that. But another good thing about you guys is that you don't really step on each other's toes, and you're always there for the other one if they're kind of breaking down over a moment, which I think is infinitely sweet and really kind of gives a great heart to your channel. Because sometimes you see reactors who are just reacting, and it's funny. There's some channels I actually won't mention who the whole time they're like, all right, guys, we're going to watch the Moon Knight trailer. Here we go. And then the whole time they're like, and that was my reaction to Moon Knight. And you're like, and it's like 20,000 views. And I was like, I can do that.
Like, subscribe, hit that bell.
Hit that bell. I was like, nothing. But you guys really have like, you've really found your voice, which I know is important, not only with, YouTube, but really in comedy. It takes a while to sort of figure out who you are. And I don't know, how long did it take to establish the rhythm of that?
I think, and it's very weird to say this, but I think one of the things that really helped us kind of figure out how to do stuff and what we were doing was some of the negative comments at the very beginning of like, oh, you guys suck, go die in a fire.
What?
Or, oh yes.
We got a lot of them.
And I am sorry for writing that.
Oh,
it's okay.
Aha.
Thanks for the engagement.
Thanks for the engagement.
I was just trying to push you to be better.
No, we appreciate your view.
Yeah.
There's a lot of comments at the beginning. I was like, why don't these guys just shut up and watch the thing? And I was like, which is like true, but like, it made, I got the note after a while. I was like, oh yeah, maybe we should, because it was coming from just a trailer. I was like, yeah, it's only a minute, a couple minutes long. There isn't enough room for us to talk over stuff. It's because since it's edited so fast, if we start bidding, during the trailer, we would miss something.
Yeah.
And then we just realized that our faces do enough talking during a trailer that we can just make all the, act, react, have a good time with each other, with the Peaches and Jay, and just like, that was crazy, and then talk about it afterwards.
Because there is also something to be said for like reaction content. People are like, oh, well, this is like, you guys are overreacting and blah, blah, blah. There is that fence you have to run in that, because people are like, oh, like, is it really the first time you watch it? We're like, yes. I always phrase it as like, this is our actual genuine reaction to watching it for the first time. But we are aware that there's a camera in the room. We try to keep it as genuine as we can, but we would be lying if there wasn't a little bit of show business to it.
Sure, you have to ham it up a little bit, but in a genuine, like, true to yourself way.
Yes.
Like, I don't feel like there are people who online, they don't seem genuine. They do seem like, wow, guys, I can't believe Kenobi said this. Can you believe that? I'm like, that's not how you talk. But you guys,
that's a very good impression of them. I'm just saying, if you wanted to do a parody, this is it. The Johnny Odell parody channel where you do that. That voice was very, very good. You could pull that off.
Yeah, I've thought about doing that. I've really, really wanted to do a parody. I've already written part of it, but I don't know if I should ever put it out, because the whole point of my channel is promoting other people's channels while promoting myself, while making a funny thing that people can watch. But there are things that annoy me that I wish I could point out. But it's like, do I take the piss out of the thing that I do for a living? I don't know. But I love when people are like, all right, guys, we're going to watch Squid Game. But before we do, I'm going to take this giant bowl of popcorn and start eating it. Or like, they're like, I have an entire rotisserie chicken that I'm going to ham down while we watch Book of Boba Fett. And I'm like, why do you eat now? I mean,
we could get away with that, I think.
You could,
well, maybe now, but we could. Yeah, the channel wouldn't have grown if we did it then.
I don't know. People like to watch me eat rotisserie chickens.
You should get sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts for all the coffees that you have, because every time I see that, I want one. I'm doing Starbucks right now, but I should have gotten Dunkin'
There's
Donuts.
a Dunkin' Donuts just on the walk between my house and Adam's, and it
Sure.
became people were like, "Oh, Jay loves Dunkin'." I'm like, I don't know, I just like iced coffee, and that was where I buy it
No,
from.
they have excellent iced coffee. Their donuts are very so-so. And
Yeah, I would agree.
so you mentioned Omni, and I think you guys are also friendly with like Late to the Party and Wendy from the Movie Couple. Are there any other reactors?
Only Wendy from the Movie Couple.
Yeah, that other guy, we don't.
Who shall not be named.
We don't
say his name. Yeah, we don't say his name here.
Do you guys have like a group chat, or is there any kind of like constant communication you have with other reactors where you kind of like exchange notes, or is it just kind of like a friendly, like
Honest
you
to
reach out
God,
here and there?
We have just kind of started like expanding our social network with other creators like in the past like 2 months or so. Like I became good friends with Wendy because she shows up to my stream every once in a while, and then I started showing up to her stream, and then like we kind of just started a dialogue back and forth that way, and that's how we got connected to do their live show. And she's been on my stream a couple of times. And Late to the Party just joined our Discord, and so we talked to them there.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Robert's, I think both of them actually, Robert and Vanessa, have both worn Peach shirts
They sure have.
in their videos, which is
sure
very, very awesome.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, and that's it.
And and
End of
Omni
communication.
Omni I know through Twitter, because every once in a while Omni seems like he's very tech savvy, and sometimes he has the right clip to something. We're just like, hey man, where'd you get that clip? Because like, how did you do that? Because you're really on top of this in a way that we should be, but we're not.
I do have some Patreon questions from some folks.
Oh,
so
okay,
yes, the number one, and I'm sure you guys have answered this 10,000 times, but just to get it on the record again, William Connery wants to know, where did the peaches greeting come from?
Oh, it came from I just really like to for the longest time, in order to get a rise out of Adam, I have found that like we would have a better rapport if I just kind of got Adam's motor running a little bit. And so I would say things, I would just say silly or ridiculous or kind of like outlandish things right before we would start. And one day that's what came out. And I just started, he was like, all right, let's start. And I was like, all right, let's start. Hey, Peaches. And then it made him laugh. And he was like, okay, now we got to start. I'm like, you're right. Hey, Peaches. And then he just was like, no, start. I was like, I'm starting the episode. This is how we start the episode now. I don't know what to tell you. And so that's how we do it.
And now you have Hey Peaches merch, which is great. Pick that up if you haven't already, folks who are watching.
Our fans call themselves the Peaches.
Yeah, I mean, the Beehive is already taken. So, I was wondering how you guys kind of warm up for this. Do you do like a little zip, zap, zop, or?
Well, if we want to pitch our Patreon real quick, you can find out how we start all our episodes of what weird stuff we talk about. We do a behind the scenes video compilation every month. Kind of, because we can't. I mean, this past month, I had two hours worth of footage to go through of just us chit-chatting and talking about stuff.
More often than not, we usually we kind of sit and just chat for a while and just get the conversation motor going.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just goofing around, having fun, but the camera's rolling, and we're just like, and then eventually it gets to a point where like, are we warm? We're warm. Let's go. Like, that's pretty much it.
And sometimes it's just like, oh, I got Jay's laughing, Jay'll start. Or Jay got me good with a real joke or a call back to something from 5 minutes ago. It's like, got him. Hey, Peaches.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is Adam laughing? What did Jay say?
Yeah, I like to start an episode with Adam laughing. because it makes people go, why is he laughing?
Mm-hmm.
You both have such infectious laughter. I usually keep it in the compilations. I usually sometimes I cut it out because it's just funny to have the line without laughter, and I'll just let the people watching laugh. But you guys laughing, I feel like really elevates it. So congrats on the laughter.
Oh, thanks,
yeah.
Dude. Congrats on laughter.
Congrats on the laughter. This one, this can't be right. Danny Trejo. I'm not sure that's the real one, but that is his name on Patreon.
It could be.
So congrats. So Danny Trejo, the famous actor from Machete, wants to know, which reaction made you guys say, oh my God, this is happening. We have an audience. This is working.
It was Mando season 2, the finale.
Yeah, like kind of like you guys were talking about before.
The Ahsoka episode really kind of built that up. But then when that finale came,
Great episode.
When that finale came, it was like, oh, because we got what, like 10,000 subs in like 2 days. It was
not that much, but like,
it felt
we had
that.
like from an analytics standpoint, like we were growing, doing pretty well, but like decent. And then Mando season 2 hits. The Ahsoka episode happens where I cried afterwards.
Yeah,
because it's like, oh, I finally feel seen by Star Wars, for the first time since a while. So, and a lot of people really reacted to that because I was like going on about, hey, I didn't like the sequel, or I didn't like the sequel trilogies. The EU was fantastic, and Ahsoka's one of the best newest character that Star Wars that anyone came up with in Star Wars.
Yeah,
and she's back, and it felt like she was talking to us like, hey, it's all right to like Star Wars. And like a lot of people seem to really resonate with that. And then the finale happened. And then like Mark Hamill posted about mixed reactions compilation of it and stuff like that. And a lot of people started, watching the video and then subscribing to the channel. And our growth kind of went like, from decent to like, oh, a little bit higher of a degree. I was like, oh crap, this is it, man. Holy crap, we're doing it. It's happening. It's finally happening.
Yeah.
Because they say like everyone's just one video away from like, like kind of figuring it out and like kind of going, not super viral, but just like, kind of doing it. And episode 5 of Mando season 2 with Ahsoka was ours.
That's what made us blue collar content creators, is what I always say.
Wow.
They're like, oh, you're famous? I'm like, no, but we work hard, and we haven't like, we have like the best little community, and they take care of us, and we take care of them, and it's great.
Yeah. Do you guys get recognized at all in public?
You've been seen a couple times.
I've gotten recognized quite a bit, but I also go out more than you.
That's true. Well, I'm busy editing, so I'm busy making you famous so you can get seen outside. I got seen when somebody when I was at the my local supermarket. Somebody, I was walking, buying bread. I was in the bread aisle, and someone passed somebody, and somebody goes, "It's Jay and Adam," and I was like, hi. Wow, yeah, because it was like, first off, the theme song is fantastic because it's an earworm.
I know,
but the fact that somebody needed to be like, Adam, oh crap, it's Adam. Yeah. I was like, oh hi. Hi.
That's how they were trying to remember your name. Yep. They're like, God damn it, what is it? It's Jay, but what's the second part?
Yeah, what's the second
and
one?
Adam.
Yeah, I had someone sitting at my bar during the pandemic, so I was wearing a mask, and I had someone sitting at my bar during lunch service, and the guy just goes, "Man, are you like big into YouTube? Do you watch YouTube a lot?" And I was like, "I do actually watch a lot of YouTube." He's like, "Man, you sound like this guy on YouTube." And I was like, oh, what is, he's like, it's a reaction channel. It's kind of a weird thing. I don't know if you watch that. And I was like, do you think I sound like Jay from Preview'd? And he goes, yeah. And I took off my mask for like a second. I was like, because I am Jay from Preview'd. And he went, ah! That was the best one out of all of them. And he was like, oh man, cool.
That's incredible. Oh my god!
I was like, that restaurant shop I'm always talking about that I hate? This is it. And he was like, oh, cool.
Cool. Fuck this place.
No, it was a great place. I loved it.
No. Yeah. We all love them. That reminds me, I was going to ask you guys how, because I really hate when people ask what I do, especially now. Before it was like, oh, the Walking Dead social media guy. And they're like, oh, got it. And now I'm like, so there's people who react to stuff on YouTube, and then I kind of put them all together right there in the same room, and it seems seamless, and it's its own video. How do you guys explain that to people who aren't really clued in to YouTube?
I just say I'm a content creator.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I think that's what I'm going to do from now on. Thank you.
Yeah. That's actually a good way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean, because it's more that like it leans in at a certain point. Like all of Kimberly's family thinks I'm just a streamer now.
Sure.
And so that's all they ask about. And I'm like, well, that's one thing, because that's the thing that they see on my personal social media to like follow. But so I'm just like, I make content. That's all you need to know.
That's a good way of putting it. I've learned to explain it because I've had this conversation with my mom for years, and she's only recently, like in the past, I say like 2020, she kind of finally got it.
Because we're actually making money.
Yeah,
it's funny how when something's profitable, they immediately are like, "Oh, great!
Oh, you can actually yes, you can take care of yourself."
Yeah. No.
It's so funny how that immediately becomes.
It comes from worry. I get it. It
Yeah.
comes from
Oh,
a loving
yeah.
place, but also it's like, come on,
And capitalism just being like that. Whatever. It's fine.
But as I had to finally explain it to her, it's like, Mom, you see, you don't understand, what you're not getting is that people want to enjoy the things they like with people. And it, unfortunately for a lot of us, that like, we don't have people in our lives that like the same thing we do. So we now find ourselves in a situation where we can go online and find communities of people, like-minded individuals that like the same thing we do. And we're just the beginning point of like, hi, we watched the show that you like. You want to enjoy it with us? And she's like, oh, that does make sense. Because I talk to my friends about the shows that we watch. Exactly.
We kind of embraced the mantra very about like when we first started like actually really doing episode reactions. We embraced the concept of internet best friends. I know we bandied that about a lot, but that's kind of been our mantra. And it's because we're like, we always want to be the funny ones, and then we're like, no, like let's just be the ones where it's like you feel like you're watching with your friends, and like you feel safe, you feel comfortable with us to like kind of share that experience with us. And that's kind of changed the game. I mean, like our Discord is like the best, like it's the best community on the internet. Like the peaches are incredible.
I mean, you got a battle axe.
I did get a battle axe. They did give me an axe. They
Axford comma, right?
The Axford comma. She will carve the way.
That's so amazing.
We love running jokes.
We love running jokes.
You guys are the best at bits. I think you're by far one of the funniest, channels that I watch on YouTube.
And we got there by not trying that hard.
It's not. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying we spent a lot of time trying to be that, and the minute we stopped trying was when I feel like it started working.
Are there any shows that you've watched off camera that you're like, oh, this would make a good reaction, or are you just happy with your off shows? Or do you watch shows off camera?
I don't really watch like television shows. Like I watch a lot of like online content, but not like unless we're doing it for the channel. Like we watch Maisel, of course, because you had to watch Maisel. That's the law. We live in New York City. You kind of have to. Yeah. But yeah, not a ton anymore.
Okay. I actually do watch a bunch off channel. I watched Superman and Lois, watched Reacher, watching Flash. Most of the CW shows are still okay. Most of them are not great anymore, unfortunately.
I would say they weren't that great.
Hey, Arrow's pretty good for most.
Let's put everyone in pajamas.
But yeah, I usually end the day with just watching one of those, hour-long superhero nerdy things or whatever that we just because like we can't do Warner Brothers stuff.
No, those bastards.
And yeah, it's because also one, they would banhammer us, and two, it's just like we already have a lot on our plate to begin with, so like people request it, but it's like I don't think it'd be bad.
We'd rather work with the companies, we'd rather fill our time with the companies that actually want us to make stuff off of their stuff.
Have you guys been approached by any like cast members or producers or studios or anything that have seen your stuff and are fans? Or the first time that happened
was Mark Hamill
for the Mando
the finale,
and then Travis Willingham tweeted us about our reactions to Vox, and he was very kind to us about it.
That's awesome.
Which was really cool because they are just the gold standard of making stuff, and so it felt being seen by like senpai, because I was just like, we are also content creators. And the guy who's nailing it right now is like, oh, you guys are great. We're like, oh, okay, cool. We are okay.
Yep, we're doing this.
So this is good.
Fine.
This is good.
We're fine. Yep.
Everyone be cool.
Everyone be fine. It's not a big deal. Let's be cool. Even though I have sweat pouring down my butt crack right now. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Incredible. Are you guys fans of Pitch Meeting? This isn't going anywhere. I'm just curious.
I love Pitch Meeting.
Yeah.
I'm a massive fan.
I say the lines all the time.
Get Jabby. Am I saying that right? I think they interviewed
That's how I
him.
pronounce it. Oh, they did.
Yeah. Watch the interview. It's amazing. He says you can really tell like the kind of progression of his YouTube videos. Like if you go back to the old Pitch Meetings, they're a lot slower and he's not as animated, and but he's really figured out the format, and kind of reminds me of you guys. You guys always had really great energy though. So, but you can definitely like, I went back to your very first video and you can tell. And also Adam was on the other side. And so I don't know who made the switch.
I know. Hashtag left guy.
Yeah, somebody. Yeah, we made the
left guy.
Yeah, we made the decision to just stay on the same. Well, that's the reason why we have the. That's why we decided to move. I moved into a theater to shoot from a theater.
Oh yeah.
Was because when I discovered reaction content online, like everyone was sitting in front of a wall full of paraphernalia, and we didn't have access to that. But I had green screens and knew how to key stuff out, and I was like, you know what? I think we can make our shot iconic and just like, oh, if it's a red background, you know it's us.
Yeah.
Which is why I decided to move into a theater with red seats.
Yeah,
it's so smart. It's so recognizable. And this is also, I think it was 2 years ago that you moved to this specific background. There was other red seats that you had. These look comfier. The other ones were like cloth seats. I think these look like
a leather,
very leather. Yeah.
Actually, when we did a couple of videos for an idea that we had of scripted content that didn't quite work out, but I started the videos with an exterior of a rundown theater here in the city. It was from Astoria, Queens. Actually, it was a block from where I lived out in Astoria for way further out in Queens. Forest Hills. Where Spider-Man grew up. There's an old abandoned theater, not old, but it's an abandoned theater by the time I got there. And I took the exterior shot of that and made it the theater that we shoot in. And I changed the marquee on it for each. It was like the running, because we like running gags, so like
we were putting the game content on the main channel before we created our own game channel. We specifically were in the arcade of the movie theater because it was very important to Adam.
In the theater.
We are in the theater.
Everything takes place in the theater. It's the fiction, Jake. Come on. People love stories.
I'm loving this. I mean, I've been fans of you guys before I started doing the compilation, so it's really great to kind of get behind the scenes and see what you guys are like. And I'm thrilled that you're not, like, all right, let's fucking do this interview. Hey, how's it going?
We're wildly the same people. It's very upsetting.
Yeah, there's no like. Do you guys turn on or off? Like,
no.
Much to the chagrin of Our Lady, we are. This is how we are.
That's awesome. Sometimes, Jay, I think you mentioned in some videos you're like, this guy sucks at parties. I'm guessing you guys are pretty great at parties. That would be my guess.
I am. I'm great.
You're great at parties.
Adam, not so much. Awkward.
Really?
Yeah. I was not very popular growing up. I didn't get invited to a lot of parties. I had only a small circle of friends, so I didn't really like go to parties until college, and I just hung out with my friends. So yeah.
And I was in the
now
theater.
Look at you.
Yes, now I have all of the online friends, which I hope I don't. I honestly I know at some point in the future, like PeachCon will probably happen, and it's going to be amazing. And my fear is not how we would entertain them, or the show we would put on, or anything like that. It's the afterwards of like meeting everybody. It was like, I hope I don't come off as awkward.
Yeah,
because that is my fear. Because I don't know. I didn't learn all of the skills. Interpersonal skills growing up, and I my friends have helped me as I've gotten older. But I mean, I think a lot of people can relate to this. One of the funniest things that ever happened in our relationship is it was 3.5 years ago. Jay and I are coming back from something. We're on the subway, and I go, Jay, I gotta tell you something. It's kind of personal. I gotta tell you something.
We weren't coming back. We were going to.
Oh, we're going to do something.
I remember the same.
Okay. And I go, Jay, I think I finally realized.
I've done some soul searching.
Talk to Amanda about this. I think I'm socially awkward, dude.
You came out as socially awkward?
Yeah. To which Jay replied,
I didn't speak for like 3 minutes and the first thing I said was, you didn't already know that? You didn't know that. You didn't know that.
New information.
This is new information for you. Because we've been to parties and every aspect of your being is that you are being awkward. And you didn't know? Oh. It gave me such a frame of reference where it was like, he really didn't know. And like, we got back to his place and I like opened the door and I looked at Amanda and I was like, he didn't know. And she was like, apparently he didn't know. And I was like,
This poor man.
Like my nose was bleeding. I was like, he didn't know. I guess
He didn't know.
Now he knows.
I'm trying to get better.
There is.
Of course, the
Wow.
last 2 years didn't help with that.
How did he not know?
So would you say you're an introverted extrovert or an extroverted introvert?
No, I'm an extroverted introvert.
I am too, I think. I love my space,
that's
but
right.
Jay, what are you, an extroverted extrovert?
I'm actually an introverted extrovert.
Really?
Adam can attest this. I have an extraordinarily large battery, but when it crashes, I'm out for like 2 days.
Sure.
There are times where I was like, you're not going to see me for a couple days. I was like, I just need to.
I get it. That makes sense.
That's why I'm partially dreading the end of May, like when all the shows start hitting, because one of the things that we have to worry about when it comes to scheduling stuff, I'm like, okay, so like first 2 Kenobis, okay, then I guess we can do Stranger Things a couple days after that, and then like Miss Marvel starting about it, and like, how do we schedule all this stuff so that we're not burning ourselves out, because there is only so much in our emotional battery to handle all this stuff, plus the editing and all the other things that go on behind the scenes of like, but also like crank these shows out because like they're all happening at the same time.
Yeah, hot take. I think there actually was a downside to COVID, and it is that Disney, didn't have anything that came out in all of like 2020, and then now everything's coming out in these last 2 years. And
good for us.
And I think we can all agree that was the only downside of COVID. So it's just too much content now.
You nailed it.
I feel bad because I used to do the Walking Dead ones, and people really want me to continue that, but they would get like 11,000 views compared to like the 80,000 that like Mando would get. And I'm like, guys, this takes up like half my week. It's not worth it. And they're like, and like, I'm just now getting a Peacemaker, and like I get mostly positive comments, but someone, it's always the one negative one that kind of like bothers you at night. And someone's like, fuck you, man. Like Peacemaker came out months ago. You're so late with everything and this and that. And I was just like, am I like, am I a bad person? I'm trying my best over here, guys. I'm one guy. I have no other editors, no one else. It's just me. And I'm also trying to have a life and see my girlfriend a few times a week and do my best. So
some people get so upset when we don't do something. And especially like when we put Peacemaker up as a Patreon exclusive, because we're not dealing with DC with all of the music. We're just not dealing with it. Like, we're going to react to it. We want to watch it. We're putting it up on Patreon, and you can consume it there. The amount of people that just absolutely lose their minds, especially when we already have like 2 other episodes that week on the channel for free that you can just watch. People are like, oh, these guys are sellouts. And it's like, hey, no, we're not. But also like, we want to do this full time. That takes money. People are like, these guys are sellouts. I'm like, yeah, man, I want to have kids at some point. You're
goddamn right.
Hard.
I live in New York City. What the hell you think I'm doing here?
My rent would make your nose bleed. Like, we are selling out, man.
Wait, one last thing. How do you guys on the East Coast watch the Marvel shows that for some reason come out at 3 a.m. your time? What is that?
We talked to Wendy about this because we was it a couple, that wasn't the first week, but I think it was the second week of Moon Knight, when we the normal plan is like, I get up and I get on my boat and I find the episode and I drag it back to shore and get it on my computer ready to go to edit, and then Jay comes over around 9, and then we start filming. Hopefully we're done before 10:30, and then I start editing and get it out in the afternoon. But like, I woke up and like all of a sudden everyone had their video out.
Everyone had it out, and I was walking to Adam's house to tape it.
Like, oh my god,
Rejects, Movie Couple, Wait Till the Party, like everybody, like Dos Cavazos, like everybody had their stuff out. Even like, I think Blind was getting it around us because they're in Ohio. But we're like, what is going on? Like, we know it's 3 o'clock our time. I was like, well, I guess it's midnight there, but like, why? From just an algorithmic standpoint, it doesn't make any sense. They're getting their views are getting chopped in half, if not more,
because ours are coming out in the time frame in which people have already watched the episode, or they're about to start the episode, and they go, oh, Preview'd is out, great, boom. Whereas like the algorithm, by the time, if you get yours out at 9 a.m. on the day it comes out, most people haven't watched it yet. And by the time it does come out, the algorithm's already sent you down the river.
Yeah, I don't know. And also from just a business standpoint, Disney, just put it out midnight Eastern, 9 Pacific. And if you don't like saying it comes out on Tuesdays, then just put it out on Wednesday and then it's Tuesday. I don't know. Like,
yeah, but also it's the internet.
Really
you can put it out at whatever time you want and any time. I don't know.
Well, I could talk to you guys for hours, and I'm sure I will someday. I have a million more questions for you, so hopefully we can do a part 2 at some point. But
Great.
it's always, I've always wanted to, talk to you guys, and I'm glad that you're just as, amazing and nice as you appear on the internet. So thank you so much for doing this. And
thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, you guys are awesome, and it was such a pleasure meeting you. So
Thanks.
I guess we'll see you on Tuesday.
Sounds good.
Love
Great.
it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
You too. Bye.